History is made out of very little steps from most people. This is one of such steps. History is being made because this is the first year that GMS Magazine is shooting a DVD at Spiel in Essen, in the heart of Germany. Now, jokes aside, people, if you're watching this introduction video, you should know about Spiel by now. You must be into board games at one level or another, and Spiel is by far the capital trade show in the world about board games and also comic books, although comic books take a little bit less of a priority within the schedule of the show. But if you're into board games, you should definitely know about Spiel. For the next few minutes, we are going to show you some of the interviews that we have done throughout the whole of the show, where we have taken the most interesting, not just the most famous, but the most interesting, and some of the games that you will have never heard of. Interview the designers, the publishers and the distributors to give you a glimpse of what it is like outside the United States or any other country that you are in. If your interest is in board games, please keep watching, because I promise that we have a lot of material that will be of great interest to you. See you on the other side of the interviews. One of the contingent of American companies are jumping the pond and coming to Spiel to enjoy and take advantage of the masses coming to the show is Mayday Games. And I have with me Seth Hiatt, who is the owner, managing director and overall ruler of Mayday Games.
Yes.
Seth, is this the first time that you make it to Spiel?
No, this is our third year actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been here a couple of years before.
What made you decide to come to Spiel in the first place?
Well, looking at the demographics and everything here, it's obvious that if you want to sell board games, you need to be in Germany and Europe. I mean, Germany sells like 3 times as many games a year as the US, and there's a third the people, so definitely a growth industry for us.
What changes have you seen in the 3 years as you've been here? What has the difference 2012 from 2010?
A lot of it for us has been booth placement. That helped a lot. No one knew we were here in the first year because we were down in Hall 4 in the very back next to the used games, and sales were not nearly as strong. We didn't have a very big product line yet, but it was a learning experience, and we still did pretty well. So we've been able to get up here to Hall 12, and it's made a lot of difference to let people see our games and make sure they don't have to stumble across us as they're going to get a Wiener Schnitzel somewhere.
Tell me a little bit about Mayday, because you guys do an awful lot of cards, sleeves, and compliments for games, but you also have a fairly good selection of games that are doing very well. Tell me about the company.
We started out starting as a one product company started with a Catan board. It's called the Yucatan Adventure Board, and that was back 3 years ago. And from there we started. It was, name of the game company is Mayday, so that if someone saw a product that they didn't see in the marketplace, they could email us a Mayday, and we would look at making that game or that product. And so around that same time, Dominion came out, and there was no sleeves for that size, the 59 by 92 millimeter sleeves. So somebody emailed us, and I just picked up the game myself, and I played it and said, yeah, I can see why you'd want sleeves for this. And we made some sleeves for it. And then that kind of snowballed into 20 different sizes of sleeves. And we keep a little spreadsheet of all the games we know about and what sleeve fits what size. There's about over 1,000 games on that database on our website. So people use that as a tool to find the sleeves they want. And then when Agricola came out, people begged for the animal tokens, the animeeples, in the US. So we made those. And then we've kind of done a lot of different games. Most recently we have Dominant Species. We'll have a token set for that people have been asking for. And anytime there's a new token set someone thinks might be better than the original, we do that. Like we have a wooden train token set. But then about 2 years ago, people started asking for games that hadn't been printed, like Space Junkyard was one of the most popular print and plays on Board Game Geek. So people asked us to produce that. So that was our first game. It was purely at the insistence of people who were asking for it. So that was our first game. And then since then we've been going into more, just keeping our eyes out for games we think are really good and fun and producing those.
What's been the biggest challenge so far? Because doing bespoke things, it can be quite tricky when you have to adapt very quickly to the demands of the public. What has been the challenges that you guys have found, and how did you overcome them?
Some of the biggest challenges we've had have just been figuring out what products to make, and being essentially a one-person company. We have 2 employees and myself, so we're pretty dynamic. I mean, if there's something I want to do, I just jump on it and get it done. So Eaten by Zombies is a good example of that, our deck builder game. I saw that last March, and by September we had the game in production, printed, and ready to go. And that was from the first time I ever saw it. So, and we've now reprinted it 3 or 4 times, and we've got an expansion. And so when we see something that we like, we can move on it pretty quickly because we're such a small, dynamic company. We're hungry in the marketplace, so we can adapt if we need to.
So tell me about your range of games. What kind of offer do you have for gamers out there and for people in general?
Yeah, we have some heavier games like Eaten by Zombies. We have the new Bootleggers game. You've probably heard of that one before. We have the new license for the reprint of that here coming up this 2013. And so we're on the lookout for older Euro games as well, but we also do a lot of easy to play, family-friendly games. Like Talk Talk Woodman is a game out of Korea that we got the license to because I really like the silly game. And then Get Bit is a really quintessential game for us. It's a shark chasing robots, and the new version we have is there's a pirate theme, which is really good. And we've got fast, friendly games we can show in 5 minutes that people will come back to, or what we try to focus on.
What's your distribution like outside the US? Obviously you're here in Germany. I presume you have some distributors already. How can people buy your games?
Yeah, we have some distribution in Europe. Really all over the world we have distributors all over the place, but Heidelberger's picked up a few of our games. They picked up some Eaten by Zombies last year, and Spiral Galaxy in the UK, Board Game Extras in the UK, and we have distributors, regional distributors all over. We have several in France and Italy and Germany and Spain, pretty much all over Europe. Any company who wants to buy our products, we'll be happy to sell to them directly or have them contact the distributor. But we have distributors in like 27 countries. So
you're pretty widespread by now.
It's not a lot of volume everywhere, but it's pretty widespread. We do have a warehouse here in Germany and one in the US as well, and now we have one in China. So we have 3 warehouses just to fill the needs of our customers. So it is a small company, but it's growing pretty quickly.
Oh, good for you. And what's in the future for you guys? What's in the pipeline?
We have a few new games coming out next year. We've got one called Walk the Plank that'll be out here in about 2-3 months, and we'll do the Bootleggers print like we talked about. We have new Eaten by Zombies. We have another expansion for that planned. The English version of the Pirate Deluxe set of Get Bit will be out here early this year. And then we have 3 or 4 new ones. We've been talking to a lot of designers here, and we want, in the last 12 months, we've done 12 new projects on Kickstarter, and we plan to continue about that pace.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's going pretty quick. So.
Blimey, that's a lot of work. 12 projects in Kickstarter is a lot.
Yeah, we don't sleep a lot sometimes.
No kidding. Well, best of luck. I really hope that you guys continue growing and continue doing fantastically well, and hopefully see you next year again.
We'll plan on it. Every year we have a little bigger booth or a little better spot, and we'll hopefully, we already can see that we're out of room here this year, so next year we're definitely going to shoot for a bigger booth.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
One of the great things about Spiel is that you can get to see games that you haven't seen before, things that are completely new and that are really, really exciting. And this is what happens with Cosmic Empires, just released for Essen, looking absolutely lovely. And I have the pleasure of having with me Mr. Alexander July.
Yes.
Sorry, I always get it wrong. Alexander, tell me, hey, what's your role within the game and within the company?
So, I'm the author of this game, and I create games since 2003. And once I decided I also want to publish them, because to show it to the world and show also the ideas, because often when I play games I find moments in the game when I think, oh, I would like to do this or this, but it's not possible in the game. And so this was the inspiration for creating games and also for publishing them. So I'm the author of the first game and also the publisher of this company.
Has it been a difficult process to go from being to design the whole game and to bring it out?
Yes, it's double hard, because it's first you have difficulties with creating the game and making it work, and after you have to manage all the production and publishments and lots of work also for the public relation, and it's double hard to make everything yourself.
What has been, though, the most fun part of coming out with the game?
Okay, first the creation. If you get to a point where you're sure, okay, this is working, and you can lie back and say, wow, okay, the most part of the game is created. It's cool. The other one is when everything goes into the production, and you get the first pieces from out of the production and show, oh yeah, this is components of the game, and you hold it in the hands, and you made it.
Tell us about the game, though. What is Cosmic Empires all about? How does it play?
So this game is a space adventure game, which where it's important to make movements, good movements. I call it. I like to say, the sense of the game is to make cool moves. Yeah, it's not about economy and not about big fleets building. It's about movement. A good movement makes you advance in the game, and to use the possibilities of the fields, everything.
How complex is it? Does it take long to play and learn?
No, the structure is very simple. It's I use evident game elements, which everyone can understand. Planets, stations in space, and free space, for example. Two kind of ships, easy to differentiating this kind of ships. But I use different methods for the gameplay. You don't need only ships for movement and for taking over. You can also make directly diplomacy on planets where population is on, and everybody understands. Yes, and every player has one action to do. He has 3 different actions, and he has to choose one of them. And because of this, the turn goes very fast.
That's pretty good. If people want to buy the game once Spiel is out and they're looking at the video, how can they get hold of it? On this exposition, it's brand new, so it's only available on this exposition. After the exposition, we will make internet, sell it through our internet directly, and we want also to bring it to the shops and also in other countries. Especially in this game, in this version is also for players of other countries good available, because each the player overview is in 2 languages, in English and in German, each 2 sides,
and event cards, and the secret mission, which is the goal of the game, is also on the card, first in German and then in English. So even this version is playable for foreign peoples.
What's your website so people can go now and order it?
So it's INGC for Innovative Games Creation.de.
There you have it. That is one to look forward to. So head now to the website and get it while you can, because it's going to be really, really well worth it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Can I add one? I also want to thank the illustrator. It's Benjamin Cadet. He a French guy. He had done really good work. The illustration is great. The fields of the planets are one of the most beautiful that I ever saw in a game, in table games, board games. So
there you go. It doesn't just play well, it looks good. And the quest for new and different games from far afar continues. And now we are with Helge and Stefan from Smiley Monster Games, who've got two really, really interesting games. First of all, guys, tell me a little bit about your company. What sort of games do you do? Where are you based?
Would you like to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I go first. Thank you. So yeah, what kind of games do we do? Basically, games that we like to play.
Okay.
So that's why the two games that we have are so differently. The first one is a tabletop game, a generic one where you can use all your miniatures that you have in your desk and use them irrespective of any manufacturer. Just put them together as you like and design them as you like. And the other game is a light family game, kind of bluffing and double guessing and getting hunted and being the hunter. So
that sounds pretty good. Where are you guys based? Where do you come from?
Yeah, the two of us come from an area close by to Essen, luckily, so we can go everywhere to Essen. And I'm located in Düsseldorf, and Helge is located in Aachen, and that's actually also the location of our publishing company.
So you are very, very local.
Yes.
How old is your company?
2 years.
It's very new.
Yeah, we started in 2010.
What made you start a games company?
Yeah, the first game that we published started our games company. So we all like role-playing games, miniature games, fantasy games, and we liked to collect miniatures, and we bought more and more miniatures that we liked, and we had a lot of them, and we couldn't use them all in role-playing games. So we thought of, what if there would be a game where we can use all these miniatures? And we started looking around, but found none. And then we started developing our own rules for our own tabletop, where we could use all our miniatures.
Okay, so tell me about that game. What was it called?
The game's called Guided Lands. Guided Lands, yeah.
And how did it come about? Because creating a generic free game so any miniatures can be used, it's not easy.
Yes.
Okay, how did we come about? So we didn't design it by our own. At the start of the company, we were free, and the author of that game was with us, and he dragged us also into that hobby. And then he came up with the idea, hey guys, this game is a good game, let's publish it. And that was when we started thinking about how to publish, what do we need to do, how to get graphics designers, how to write rules at all. I mean, this rule book is huge, like 100 pages, and getting everything straight and right, that was the starting point there. And the story started not in 2010, but 7 years earlier. And it ended up, with being here, talking to you.
What has been the most rewarding aspect of coming out with your own games?
That's I think the best thing is meeting really the people here, getting to play with all these different kind of people, getting all the feedback from them, hearing that they like our games. Okay, some hate them as well, but they like the games, and that's really great. We also get messages to our home box, hey, great game, thank you for designing that, and that's really a great point for me to continue and having the fun and being here.
How about for you? What's the most rewarding bit about being a designer?
Yes, getting feedback from the people who you met earlier, explain the game to them, and they come back, you meet them again at another fair, and they tell you, oh, we got into your games so much when we were on vacation, we played it every night for several hours, and they say, okay, great. Awesome. Yeah,
Now,
really cool.
the other game is completely different. Tell me about it.
Yeah, the other game is the opposite end of the complexity scale. And the reason for that is, after 7 years designing and writing all these rules, we thought, okay, let's take some kind of mental break and do something more lighthearted. And it took us only 2 years then to design that.
Just a snip of time, really. That's nothing. What is it called and what is it about?
It's called Jagdfieber in German. The English translation would be Hunting Fever. And it's a card game where you try to hunt the cards of the other players and collect as many points as possible.
Is there any backstabbing, betrayal, competition?
Not really backstabbing, but double guessing what cards the other players may play.
Why did you decide to go for something completely the end of the spectrum? I mean, apart from needing the break and it was a bit too much, you could have gone for something different. Where did this idea come from?
I'm the author, I have to answer. The idea just came, I was sitting at the desk and thinking about, hey, what could be the next game? It should be something lighthearted, and I wanted to have something where you are hunter and the hunted at the same time. And when it started out, what can we do? And I had a first prototype which was totally crappy, and then we sat together with some friends and did some more thinking of that, and from then it was more or less moving onwards by itself. So it was a small idea, and we made some corrections and fiddled around with it, and then we ended up with this one. But the original idea being hunter and the hunted at the same time, and also stealing from others, being mean.
I like that.
Scale.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. What's been the easiest game to actually bring to the public?
It's one, I think, where the rules are simple, and despite of the simple rules, where you have a good deal of thinking, outguessing people, and where you really are within the game, so that there's also a story about it. So that's not just a plain mechanism, something abstract, but there should be also a story about it. And in our game, it's the hunting story. We also give some narration to it, what happens and why it happens, and tell a story. And I think that's being involved in there. That's quite important, at least for us. So we like thematic games.
That sounds good. If people want to get hold of your games and want to buy them outside Germany, how can they do that?
They can order the games from our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's international shipping, no problem?
No problem, yeah.
Excellent. And what are your plans for the future? What happens for Smiley Monster game from now on?
The next game is sort of finished, so the rules are set, more or less. And it will be a two-player, probably science fiction themed game, card game combined with a board. So there's a bit of area control. The board tiles give you special abilities if you control them, and it's basically a short combat game, probably about 15 minutes playtime, and the goal of the game will be to eliminate the other player at the end of the turn, so that he has not any more cards on the board. Then you win. And there will be several factions, so you can choose to play different factions against each other. So you have, depending on the faction, they all play differently. You have a very different game.
Sounds like really a step up in terms of rules.
Something different again, yeah.
No, sounds good. Guys, best of luck with the games. I really hope they do very well. Spiel is very busy. I hope you sell out. And very, very much look forward to the next games. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and interviewing us. Thank you.
more interesting games, more interesting people. And in this case, I have with me Mr. Let's see if I can pronounce this properly. Andriy Kalmarek.
Yeah, that's pretty
Thereabouts. You have this amazing looking game.
Thank you.
It looks gorgeous. Now I want to know everything about it.
Okay, that being said, it's a game with smart dicing, fighting, modular board, okay? It is. You have a board like that with hexagonal tiles. It's a pretty aggressive conquest game where you roll dices, okay? So you have to combine them to obtain the numbers or the traits on the tiles, okay? And the thing is, there is a story. You are an expedition. You have an expedition who will try to plunder a valley, the valley of Viracocha, because it has been found in it a crystal, somnium crystals, who can affect matter, energy, and time, okay? So you come with your zeppelins, your explorers, and all that to plunder this valley. You will explore temples and all that. The thing is, on your turn, you combine dices to obtain the scores on the tiles and to put your pawns on it. Okay? So with that, you will gain resources to modify the result of the dice. So it's not only luck, because all the things about this game is to control your luck. Basically, when you roll the dice, it's pure luck. But if you have enough resources, if you've bought the good cards and all that, you can do pretty much whatever you want with your dice.
Okay.
And that's the goal of the game, to do what you want with your luck.
How long does it take to play? Is it very complex?
It's not very complex, but it's not a family game. It's a family plus, you know. It takes not more than 60 minutes from 2 to 4 players. The thing is, I've played it with children with 7 years old, you know.
Okay.
So it's an accessible game, but if they are playing a bit, you know, if they are playing other games, it's not that complicated. It's very intuitive. You know, you do not have 8 phases in the game. You do not have complex rules to learn. The thing is, you roll your dice, and the rest of your turn you decide what you do with them. You use resources to modify them. You use cards with their powers, and you do whatever you need in the orders that you want. So it's pretty intuitive.
The game looks terrific, and it has a very steampunk feel to it. Tell me about the look and feel of the game. Where did that come from?
Well, the thing is, basically it was another theme on the game. I've created it. It took me 2 years, more than 2 years, to create the game. I've made several contests with it. It has been nominated in a few ones, and in one of those, it has been noticed by my actual publisher, Didier Deleuze from Sit Down, and he decided to publish it. It was his first game for when he made his publishing structure. So I was very honored because he came to me. The thing is that you have 3 possible ways to win. The first one is to find artifacts in temples to find the secret treasure of Viracocha. The second is to bring back to the Imperator Victoria a large amount of somnium, the crystal. And the third one is to acquire enough technology to build the Leviathan, a web weapon, huge, like city floating in the sky and all that. So when you play the game, you do not say, oh, I want to go 666. No, you say, I need some somnium. I need to read technology. I've got the artifact. You speak about the stories that the game tells, you know, not about the mechanics. And that's what I wanted, you know.
That sounds really, really cool. There is also an expansion out. What does the expansion add to the base game?
Well, the expansion adds basically new troops, because you have 7 pounds and 3 types of troops. You have the explorers, the drilling machine, and the zeppelin, of course. In everything steampunk thing, you have a zeppelin.
Yes.
Yeah. In the new one, you have we cannot see them. You have the patroller with a gas mask, you know. You have the settler, who can harvest resources. You have the helicopters squads, who are a bit like zeppelins, because they can fly, so they can reach the mountains, you know. But they're stronger than the zeppelin, but they cannot do transport. There's a lot of things to know about it. So there are new troops. There are cards that give you secret objectives, and that permits you to make a pact with Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. That's the name of the expansion, the feathered serpent. And so if you're late other players are winning, you're late, you know you can't win anymore. Those cards allow you to go back in the game, okay? But you have to forget the promises made to the Imperator. So you cannot win by the regular winning objectives, you know? That's it.
It's a much greater depth to the game.
That's it. And finally, you have 6 new tiles to add to the game or to replace some. It depends if you're 2, 3 or 4 players with new powers and new tokens. A bit more complicated, but the expansion is for those players who like the base game already. So adding some things is not a problem for them. They're asking for it, you know. Last thing, but not the least, little, I don't know the name, paravents to hide your crystals behind them. Okay? So other people don't know how many crystals, if they do not remember, they don't know how many crystals you have harvested. So if you're the leader in that one, you keep your mouth shut, and nobody knows. That's better.
Excellent.
And that's all for 10 or 15 euros.
That's absolutely terrific. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really hope that it's going to go terrifically well. Spiel has been a really busy show. Look forward to more.
Well, I hope so. We'll see. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Unless you have lived under some sort of board gaming stone for the last year, you have heard of Starfleet captains, couriers, lots of stuff. Mr. Mike Elliott here is the legend behind all those games.
Hi Paco, nice.
Hi, very good to see you and very good to have you around.
So let me
Your empire expands.
So let me walk you through some of the new stuff we've got. As you know, I do a lot of work with WizKids. I do stuff with other companies, Queen Games. I do the Thunderstone series with Alderock Entertainment. But I do quite a bit of stuff with WizKids, including the Couriers line. So for Couriers this year, we've got the new Quest of the Gladiators series, which is the 4th one. It goes Couriers, then Rise of the Demons, which was a very small one, then Cormageddon, and then Quest of the Gladiator is the 4th one. We're also doing a new packaging version of the base set, which will allow you to repackage all of the dice in the same tray. So that's what's going on with Couriers. With Star Trek Fleet Captains, the Romulan expansion comes out in 3 weeks. So that it should be hitting the streets shortly, and now you'll be able to play either 2-player playing Federation against Klingon, Federation against Romulan, Klingon against Romulan, or you can play 3-player free-for-all with all 3 of the factions competing against each other.
But you've been mega busy. I mean, you don't do all those things by sitting on your thumbs.
Actually, these are kind of my side job. I also do a lot of Japanese trading card games. I designed the Duel Master trading card game, and I designed another game called Battle Spirits. Currently, those 2 are 2 of the top 3 best-selling trading card games in Japan.
That's a very good thing to have in your CV. I mean, you have designed the dice. I mean, the design of the dice game is far from easy, but you have designed the game and the expansions. How do you do that and not go completely crazy with the balancing issue?
Well, the costing system on this has kind of a built-in cost where the more expensive creatures, you have to pay more to put them out. So the bigger creatures kind of have this little gravity effect where the more bigger creatures you have, the harder it is to field them. So you could easily like roll 2 big creatures and not have enough to put both of them out. So you're only able to put one out. But costing, like the base costing system, I mean, I've done 12 trading card games. I worked on Magic for 10 years. So the math part is the part that isn't, yeah. it's the flavor stuff is the part where I kind of fall down.
When you decide to go with an idea and realize it, because I can imagine when it comes to something like this, you really want to see it finished as a really cool product and like nothing else. How do you go about it?
Well, this one, I collaborated with Eric Lang, who did. You may know Eric Lang from Chaos in the Old World. He does a lot of stuff with Fantasy Flight. Their Game of Thrones living card game and Warhammer Invasion living card game. He's very prolific as well. He and I kind of had this idea, like what would happen if we took Dominion and kind of converted it into a dice game. And so we worked together. He came out. I live in Seattle. And he came out to my house in Seattle, and
Have fun.
and basically stayed over. We worked design for a week. We put together the basic system, used a lot of stickers and blank cubes, and then we spent the next several months doing playtesting and development, and then it took us over a year and a half, almost 2 years, before we could actually find a company that would be willing to actually produce it, because doing 130 dice in a box is not.
It's not at a reasonable price.
Yes, that was a hard thing.
When you get how much you pay per die, it's nothing. That was such a triumph. You guys managed to do that. Now, I'm very curious, and I need to know, a puzzle building game.
So this was just announced yesterday. This is Connect with Pieces. It's a puzzle building game, and basically you play this against another person. The puzzle pieces have these little etched symbols on them that you can see if you look at the piece closely. And there's combinations of different symbols. And when you're playing the pieces out, if you get certain combinations, like if you get 3 of the same symbol in a row, you score a point. And if you score a box with 4 different symbols, you score a point. Okay. So you're trying to, and the pieces are configured such that the pieces can go in a number of different places. Like this edge piece can be placed anywhere along like a fairly long stretch of the edge.
Right.
And it can be placed here, or it could be placed here, or it could be placed here. Because there's a bunch of identical pieces with different symbols on them.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you and another person are cooperatively building this puzzle, but you're competing to score points. So all the pieces are in a box, so like I'll pick pieces out of the box while the other person is playing, and then their time will run out and they'll switch over and I'll start playing. Or we can. Well, you can play to a certain number of points, or you can play to complete the puzzle. Right. This is a 700-piece puzzle, so 2 people together would probably take 2 to 3 hours to complete the whole thing. But you could play like, okay, we're gonna play to 50 points, and we'll just keep going until someone hits 50, and then we'll stop and we'll come back. You can start a new game at the same spot you were at.
Now, how did the idea come about?
So this one I worked with Joel, who's the president of NECA. We actually came up with kind of these cool concepts for things that we could do with puzzle games, and then we expanded one of them out into this kind of puzzle building game system.
You didn't just make a puzzle game, you went for the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Well, then once we had the puzzle game system, then we went to different franchises and said, hey, can we slap this franchise onto our puzzle game? Because you can slap the system onto any picture. So you could do Lord of the Rings, you could do Star Trek, you could do
Warriors.
Yeah. You could do Twilight, you could do Hunger Games, I mean, anything. And this type of thing is the thing that you would probably see in like Barnes & Noble and boutique stores, but you'd also see copies being sold in core hobby stores.
Yes.
It's probably not the thing that hardcore game fans that like Star Trek Fleet Captains or Agricola are going to dive into. But there are a lot of people who like puzzles.
Yeah,
so
it's fantastic. Great.
so I think it's got a lot of crossover appeal, and I'm very excited about this one. I think it's going to do very well. They're shooting for November, December, because they've had it, like, we've been working on it for a while, but it just got announced. So this has been a very weird year, because I did like a whole bunch of stuff earlier in the year, and a lot of it's just starting to be announced or will be announced in the next few weeks.
So there's more to come.
Like the Lost Legends game with Queen just got announced, and they just started a Kickstarter campaign yesterday.
Wow.
Which funded in 22 hours.
Mike, thank you very, very much. Well, see you around Spiel.
Yeah, pleasure talking with you.
As you can see, PC doesn't even come close to describe what Spiel has been like so far. But don't worry, because we are persevering, and in the next installment we're going to bring you even more interviews and more games from the GMS magazine at Spiel.